impression that I get from you is that you love Toolbox Tuesday because I see you here every single week. And the other impression that I get, is that you want to know what's coming up for the month of May. Well, there you go. It's right there on the screen. Let's talk about our upcoming sessions for the month of May. Coming up on May 5th, we're going to be doing Coffee with Closers with our CEO, Justin Volrath. He's going to give you the State of the Union, and he's going to give you an opportunity to come off mute, share whatever's on your mind, and share whatever is on your heart. Coming up on Tuesday, May 12th, we're going to do Toolbox Tuesday with SureTech. Now, some of you may or may not know what SureTech is, but I guess the easiest way for me to say it to you is that this is going to be a much better way for your merchants to finance equipment through PayCompass. You got to make sure you join us for that one. And then coming up on May 19th, my God, you have been clamoring, you have been asking, my God, we have to give the people exactly what they want. So we're giving you exactly what you want, giving you exactly what you need. We're going to be doing a Toolbox Tuesday with Square. Yes, that's right. We are one of a very small handful of ISOs that can actually present Square. Now you're probably saying, well, Scott, why would we want to do that? Well, let me just kind of tip you off here. It's going to give you an opportunity to go back to those businesses that you weren't able to sign up previously. We got a lot of content that we're going to cover as far as our new partnership with Square goes. And then we're going to wrap up the month on May 26th with our final Toolbox Tuesday for the month of May. We're bringing back our friends from Union POS, and they're going to talk about their brand new AI reporting along with their new loyalty program. I promise you, I am going to send out all of the invites tomorrow. As always, if you do not see an invite on your calendar, good Lord, don't panic. Just reach out. sales@paycompass.com, and we'll make sure that we get those invites on your calendar. So today's session, we're going to talk with our friends at DejaPayPro, but as always, I can't host these sessions all by myself. Heck no, I need my co-host. Ladies and gentlemen, just back from his world tour in Amsterdam and London, he is back in the hot seat and hanging out with me in the studio, Mr. John Marshall. Hey, John.
Hey, Scott. Hey, just have to say, I'm still thinking about that Genie app, and all of those calendar events will be in that homepage.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, John is quite possibly the mastermind behind the Genie app. If you don't have that Genie app downloaded on your phone yet, you are missing the party. All you got to do is go into Navigo. Right when you log in, right at the very top, there's a banner that says, click here to download the Genie app. Get that app downloaded onto your device, and you too will always be in the know. As with every single Toolbox Tuesday, we're going to interview our guest panelists. And, we're going to talk to them for probably like the first, 15 minutes or so. And then after that, we're going to break for questions. We want to hear from you, sales agents. So it's going to be your opportunity to come off mute, put your questions in the chat. We're going to make sure that we get those addressed. And as always, we are recording today's session. Within 24 hours, we're going to get this posted on the PayCompass YouTube channel. However, some folks don't like watching videos. Some folks prefer to have a transcript, and that's okay. If you're the type of person that prefers to launch an AI note taker so that you can read through the transcript later on, absolutely, positively, go ahead and go for it. Launch your AI note taker. We strongly encourage those here on Toolbox Tuesday. Let's get this party kicked off. I don't have just one guest panelist. Heck no, I got two coming in today. So representing DejaPayPro is my new friend Andres. Andres, let's do a mic check. Can I hear you, my man?
Yes, thank you for having me. And hopefully we'll have a very productive meeting today.
I think we're going to definitely have one. And, like I said, I've got two guest panelists today. You know him, you love him. He's actually going to be representing the Deja Vu side of house in regards to all of their payment terminals. Give some love to Larry Roberts. Hey, Larry.
Hey guys, listen, this is going to be one of my easiest Toolbox Tuesdays ever. I just got to sit here and listen to Andres and pump this up. But I think you guys are going to be very impressed. I saw y'all have some others coming up, Square and Union. They're great. This is going to be what y'all really want to focus on because we've got a little bit of everything. And the great thing about this product is it doesn't matter what terminal y'all want to use with it. Z, QDP, whatever your favorite is, they all work. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll let Andy do the rest of his great presentation for y'all.
Yeah, Absolutely. And one thing I do want to make sure I share with our audience also, today's session, for the most part, it's going to follow the same format like we normally do. However, having spent some time with Andres and Larry, and we were planning the session out, we said, man, oh man, you know what? Normally we do a lot of tell up front, and then towards the very end we do a little bit of show. Today it might be a little bit more in reverse, and you're going to notice that we're probably going to start sharing sooner rather than later. Reason being, DejaPayPro, this is an absolute workhorse. It's a game changer. And to all of you that are talking with those merchants that need to upgrade their point of sale system, man, oh man, I have been doing this for so many years. The number one thing that I always hear from sales agents is, yeah, well, I've got a merchant. He needs to upgrade his POS system. However, he really doesn't want to spend a lot of money. He really doesn't want to, he wants to make sure that he can utilize his existing equipment. This is where DejaPayPro comes into the picture. So, Andres, let's kick it over to you, my man. Just, for the sake of simplicity and just talking to our audience, what is DejaPayPro and why should it be top of mind with every single sales agent on this call today?
So when you're talking about the SMB market and you're talking about moms and pops and you're talking about food trucks or people that are just starting their business, their main concern is the startup costs, especially on the POS side. They prefer to spend a lot of money on the kitchen and on other things, but they know the essential component of their business on the reporting side will be the POS. So saying this, we decided not to force any new user into purchasing our equipment. This means that our platform can work on iOS. So you're going to see that I'm going to do a presentation and I'm going to have an iPad so I can download any the application as long as I have version 16 or higher. So it means that the merchant can bring their own devices. I can do the same thing, and I have on the other side a regular Samsung tablet. And as long as it has Google Play, you can also download the equipment. So to start off, you can use any equipment that you have. We can use or reuse any cash drawer. We can use or reuse any printer that you have or any barcode that you have, as long as it's either Bluetooth or that it works on the iOS or Android platforms. Okay, so this makes it easier because you're not forced into any equipment. If you go to Clover, it's only Clover compatible. If you go to Toast, it's going to be only Toast compatible hardware. So here you can bring your own equipment. We do sell a couple of Android choices that we're talk about them a little bit earlier. The two primary are the D1, and the D1 is our customer facing that has a customer facing display, and it's a 10.1-inch screen. And it's a 10.1-inch screen with a customer-facing display and all the ports for Ethernet, for an RJ12 cash drawer, for USB barcodes are already integrated here, and it has an integrated printer. So if you're looking into a retail environment and you're looking for a close to all-in-one solution, then it will be a D1. And this one you can pair with any of our devices. You can pair it with our QD series, our Z series, or our P series. It will depend greatly on their functionality. Okay, and functionality meaning if you want a countertop, you can use a QD4, or you can use a P1, or you can use a P12. And then if you want mobility, you can actually download the DejaPayPro application on two of our devices, the QD2, and the QD2 has an integrated printer, integrated barcode scanner. It has SIM capability, and then it has the capability of downloading the application there. So this would be your all-in-one solution, or the P8, sorry. The P8 also has an integrated printer, integrated barcode scanner, has SIM card capability. So in those two models, you will be able to work as an all-in-one environment. So if it's a food truck, you don't have much space and you're actually close to the kitchen, You can print out the kitchen orders from here, send it to the kitchen, or give it to the kitchen, and then finalizing the transaction from here. Okay, Scott, one thing that you have to take into consideration that is very, very important is that because we're an SMB environment, you're not looking into any merchant that has over 10,000 items. That's very important. You can actually do 10,000 items and 10,000 barcodes without any issues at all. But after 10, yes, you're going to have some syncing issues. Remember that this is a cloud POS, so everything is going to be managed on the cloud side. Or if you're doing more than 2,000 transactions, so it's a fast moving environment where you are opening a an order on one side and then closing it on the other side, and you have a set of the more than 10 units that you're using interchangeably, then that's not the environment that we're looking for. We're looking into stability, and we prefer to under promise and over deliver because we feel that the product needs to have a particular environment to work perfectly. And we do have restaurant environment, and we do have retail environments on the same platform.
Yep. Okay. All right. I was going to say, let's do this really quick, Andres. Let's just do a quick recap because that was a lot of information, but it was a lot of good information. Sales agent, I'm looking right at you right now. Now, think about all those times where you and I have had conversations and you've, said those things to me where it's like they don't want to do a big investment. They want to reuse existing equipment. This is where DejaPayPro hits that sweet spot, okay? So Andres had shared with you, you can do it on iOS, on an iPad, you can do it on Android, or if you would like, you can utilize existing Deja Vu equipment. Now, some of the ones that you had brought up, you had talked about the QD2, you had talked about the P8. Going back to in sales agent, I'm sorry, I'm going to make you dig back a couple of months ago. Do you remember when we had Larry from Deja Vu join us in studio and he was covering the brand new P18? This is another device where we can put Deja Pro into it, and that P18 that acts like a POS system because you got like that nice landscape as far as the big screen goes. But that device in and itself is the actual payment device. So whether it's swiping or tapping or anything along those lines, that can be utilized. Larry, did you want to kind of expand upon that a little bit as far as tying back to the conversation we had back in December with the P18? Oh, there he is. I believe he's holding it up right there.
Larry, you're muted
Absolutely.
at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say you are muted, my man. Oh, all right. Well, for the most part, he's showing it to us. The one key piece that I do like about that P18 too is that screen. You can actually flip it customer facing. So this way, rather than have a device that has, two screens. Oh, what are we pulling up right here?
So the P18, and
there we go.
I'm showing it with the DejaPayPro application right now. The P18 is our newer Android terminal. Same as the D1, it has an Ethernet port, it has an RJ12 port, it has a couple of USB ports that you can utilize, and it has another feature that it can be taken out of the base if you wanted to have mobility. And like Scott mentioned, the only difference between the D1 and the P18 is that the P18 does have tap, swipe, or insert capability. So now here, contrary to the D1, you will have to add a printer if you're not doing go paperless option. But in the same terminal, what I find that is very interesting about the product, you're gonna see that now I'm entering a regular database and I'm gonna go and order a burger. I'm gonna see all my different modifiers here. I can add all my modifiers, but when I go to the checkout screen, and you're gonna see it that I have it on this side, if the credit, if it goes to credit, I can easily flip my screen, and you're going to see that it flipped on the other side. And now it's customer facing, and the customer can now finish the transaction. They're going to add a tip. They're going to swipe. Oops. And they can finish the transaction from here. And now, as I mentioned, now I can simply email, text, or just say no receipt, and I go back to the DejaPayPro application and I finish the transaction altogether. So if you're looking into a possible all-in-one solution, yes, the P18 then will be, and it's fully integrated with the DejaPayPro application.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, the level of versatility that DejaPayPro brings to the table as far as the different equipment that can be utilized, as far as those deja vu devices, albeit the handhelds with the printers already built into them and everything else. Uh, Kind of going back to who is that good fit, who's not the good fit. You had mentioned some of those ones where it's like if it's, 10,000 SKUs or 10,000 items, not so much a good fit. Uh, just to kind of drill into it a little bit better, Andres. So what you're telling our audience is that we can do it for retail, we can do it for hospitality. Would you say quick service is better than table service, or can table service be thrown into the mix as well?
No, table service will definitely go into the mix now because of our newer interface. So we used to have a limitation on the physical hardware portion on the printer side on the kitchen, where you only had one kitchen printer, or if you had multiple kitchen printers, you could not separate food between one printer and the other printers. So now we just finished our integration with Fresh KDS, and Fresh KDS is a SaaS product where you can have up to 5 different terminals or kitchen displays. So that means that you can have now on the table service area, you can have multiple preparation areas. So you can have your desserts go to one screen and your hot go to a second screen, and then your cold items go to a third screen. So now you do have the ability to go to that table service environment. And it's very important, and I'm going to show you side by side in a couple of minutes, that if you're looking into the restaurant area, then there are a couple of key identifiers that you need to get answered before offering a platform. Why? Because there are two main differences, or a couple of main differences between the iOS platform and the Android platform. Android is made more on the retail side, so it's not gonna have all the functionality that iOS is gonna have because it's more on the restaurant side. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
go ahead.
And I'll tell you, I was going to say, Andres, real quick, I see that our audience is zeroed in, that we've got their attention, and I see the questions are starting to come in. So tell you what we're going to do. Audience, I'm going to throw this out there to you. This is your opportunity. Just come off mute. We don't do the whole raise hand thing here at Pay Compass. Andres, let me start to look at some of these questions in the chat. If any of you want to come off mute right now, get your questions out there, come right off mute, friends.
Hey, Scott, it's Rob.
Android is better.
Hey, Rob.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We'll go Rob first. Carol, I'll kick it over to you after. Rob, jump in, my man. What do you got?
Hey, what's going on, Carol, too, by the way? Good to hear from you.
Hey, Betty.
I put it in the chat, but like you say using, Android equipment, iOS equipment, things like that. And I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but just asking anyway. What if somebody has like a Square register or a Clover system from another provider, or a Toast even, that are all Android based? Is there a way to use their hardware with this system?
They block they block even the APK ports, so it's close to impossible just to download the application. You will have to do, that's why I mentioned you will have to have Google Play, you will have to have the App Store in order to download it from the cloud where the applications lie. So unfortunately,
Yeah. Okay.
I've only seen it work very few times.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was the answer, but asking anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate you. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Carol.
I was just
Yeah,
finished. I just wanted to reiterate, just ask that question again. You said iOS and Android. You said Android is better retail and not restaurant. Is that what I heard?
Yes,
Okay, that's all
Android
I needed.
is more for the retail side, and two components. Normally, when you have a retail environment, you are using a barcode scanner. So I prefer on a fast moving environment to have it direct with a USB and have it than have it Bluetooth on the iOS side, because it's Bluetooth. It can connect and disconnect, and that's what we don't want on a retail environment.
So let me ask just a very basic question, because I got kind of confused when we brought the P18 into it. So is PayPro is not actually equipment. It is actually the SaaS software,
software.
cloud system. And then the P18 is actually equipment.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
all.
P18,
Thank you.
the P18, you can actually use it as a standalone. And we have some ISVs that actually use it for other POS. So the P18 is actually an open Android device where you can pair it to any other POS platform as long as we complete the API development.
Okay, so that's when you just put the PayPro software onto the P18 equipment. Okay, got it. Thank you, sir.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you can use DV Lite and use it as a standalone. So I can, right now, I'm here. I can just go back and just open the DV Lite store. And now I'm just processing credit cards without a menu. So I can do either or with the P18. So if I'm in an environment that I'm not using the DejaPayPro application, you can still use the P18 as a standalone device.
All right. And glad that these questions came up. So audience, what I'll do, once again, I'll do another quick recap just to make sure that, we're all on the same page. So this way we're setting the right expectations with you. DejaPayPro, pretty much software. Where we're
So
installing
Scott,
it on. Go ahead,
I'm trying
Larry.
to answer some of those questions as we
Yep.
go to, so I'll go through. Um, One of the questions was about Shopify. Andrus, they're asking if this would be a good, replacement for Shopify. I would think it would, especially since we can import data and things like that. So you might touch on that a little bit. But they also wanted to know if they could get demo accounts, and Pay Compass should be able to get that for you, or go through Andres and he'll get y'all set up with demo accounts, however y'all want to do it.
So right now we don't have any integration with Spotify,
Shopify?
with Shopify. We don't have any integration with it, and we do have our own online solution that would be a replacement for Shopify. But Shopify being the leader in the market, they do have major differences between them and our platform. Our platform is made more for single units, and Shopify is made more for the retail environment where there are multiple locations, for example. Okay.
Andres, while we're talking about it, you mentioned Android being your preference for retail. Tell me a little more why iOS might be a better fit for restaurant.
Okay, so iOS has a couple of key components that are made specifically for restaurants. So right now you're seeing the basic user interface. So you have on the top portion clocking in and clocking out. That's it, completely included in the monthly fee, so no additional fees for that. Once you're there, you're gonna have your PIN code. The PIN code is privileged based, so that means that you can have a cook that can only clock in and clock out, but cannot even do a transaction. You can have a cashier that can do or manage discounts or change prices, but you can have a regular employee that cannot do anything but ring up the items. But once you're here, now one of the key components that make iOS more for the restaurant environment is table mapping. Okay, so table mapping is only on iOS. If I go into I'm gonna do it side by side. If I go into my P8, which is an Android, and I go to my tables, you're going to see a drop down menu. So you're not going to be able to do, I can do different rooms. I can put different colors. I can do everything else. So I can manage tables from the Android side, but people usually like the table mapping or prefer the table mapping function. Okay. A second feature that is more for the restaurant side is when you are in orders, you're going to see it in orders here, that you are going to have a merge screen. So when you enable the merge button, you can choose your items or the items that you want to merge, and you can merge a couple of tables, or you can merge a couple of open orders. Normally in restaurants, especially when you are doing on the business side, you see a client and you say, I want to pick up that tab. And instead of having to pay for 2 invoices, you can actually pay for just 1 invoice. Okay. Now, the third, and I think that this one is the most critical, is pre-auth. Why pre-auth? You're in a bar environment and you want to have a credit card here on my side. So I go to the pre-auth side. It's going to prompt me if I want to do it in credit or cash. Normally it's a credit transaction. So now I choose the consumer or my guests, or fill his name. I can put a comment there. Now I enter the pre-auth amount. I confirm it. It will go automatically to my credit card device. I finish the pre-auth on this side. And now when I go to my open orders, now I see that I have a pre-auth under X amount of name. Every single component of the credit card is encrypted. And now I can give the credit card back to the merchant, and I'm okay up to $100. So that is those are 3 key components that are needed in the restaurant operations that are not up to where they are in the Android device. We do plan to get them both functionalities up and running by the end of the year, but as of today, we don't have that. Now, we do have a third option, and our third option is what we were talking about now, that is online ordering. So on the online ordering side, let me save this. And on the online ordering side, once I activate the website, you're going to see that you can have multiple inventories there, but it's going to go to a URL on the cloud. Once we install or we activate the online, you're going to be handed out a QR code that you can put on your Facebook page, you can put on your social media pages, and it will automatically go to the landing page here. Now, you're going to see all the items, or you can actually decide what items you want to show on your online service. You can always have all the modifiers that you want required. So that's just a setting if you want to see the modifiers or not. And then
there was a question popped up. How are incremental tabs addressed?
Incremental tabs addressed? No, once you hit the market, so once I hit 100, it's going to ask me for 2 things, for another pre-auth or to close out the account. But the system itself, when it reaches the limit, it will show the merchant that they ran past the limit. Okay.
So you could then do an incremental authorization as the check grows.
With iOS, yes.
Oh, with iOS, gotcha.
Yes. Okay. Now, basically, here you're gonna create the order. Once you create the order will be, you will be prompted to pay, and you follow the complete process. So this is our online solution, and it's only on iOS. Okay. I'm gonna just close it. I'm not gonna, but it will take you to a payment link, and from the payment link, you can move ahead and finish the transaction. Once you finish the transaction, that transaction will also go directly into the kitchen side. Now, not to confuse it with our Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash integration, because we do have now an integration with Kitchen Hub, which allows you to go into any of those aggregators, and instead of having an additional tablet, instead of having an additional device, which normally clogs the main desk, you could have our online uh, integration. And once you are with Kitchen Hub, you can actually log in with any of your accounts. So you can integrate with Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Food Hub, Gloria Food, Flip Dish, Bites, Inowl. So all of those, as long as the merchant has an account, existing account with them, because once I click on connect, it's going to prompt me for the username and password associated to that account. And once you do that, you're also going to be able, and I'm going to go back to an open item, and I'm going to also be able to modify the price. So I can have different prices based on the aggregator. So if I want to have my own online and I don't want to upcharge anything, but I'm using Uber Eats and I want to upcharge a 15%, I can actually do that upcharge on the system itself. And again, the item, it's just clicking or unclicking, enabling or disabling if you want to see those items in the online menu or not. Okay. Now,
Yep.
While I'm here, I'm also going to tell you that on the retail side, we do have stock control. So stock control means that I enable stock control and I start with 50 items, and it's going to start a countdown. And once the account or the item reaches 0, it's going to gray out. It's going to 86, and you're going to have to go back into the amount, and you're going to come back and add the new amount there. Okay. You can have a minimum amount for reporting purposes. You can have a maximum amount for reporting purposes. We do not have indicators when something is running low, but you can go to the Lenovo and see your stock control reports every day without any issues.
Right.
Okay.
Andres, I'll tell you what, very quickly, why don't we pause very quick? I see we're up at the bottom of the hour. We're covering a lot of content fairly quickly here in Sales Agent. I always like to make this about you. So this is another opportunity. Come off mute, whatever questions you got, just come right off mute. Want to hear from you. I see we got another one that popped up in the chat. When a customer orders online through DoorDash, is the merchant processing that transaction, or does DoorDash process the transaction? How does that work on that end, Andres?
On that end, anytime it's an aggregator, the aggregator is the one that's gonna process the transaction. We're just gonna stamp it as Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, so that then we compare the amounts. But yes, if it's on our online, it's just to create a cloud TPN. And with the cloud TPN, you will go to our gateway, and that will be 100% your processing, because it's going to be through our gateway. One other thing, one other feature now that I mentioned the cloud TPN is now you have the opportunity to pay by invoice. So now I can actually go to the order and then say, I'm going to send the invoice by phone or by text or by email. And I'm actually going to be able to send a payment link. And once I send the payment link and I go back to orders, that one was, give me 1 second. That one was lost in translation, but I can do it again. You're going to see it in the open orders, and you're going to get a notification when the order is paid. So if it was invoiced, like I just did, you're gonna see that the order was invoiced. If the invoice was paid, you're gonna see the invoice itself over there. Once you're there, you're gonna be able to track all your open and your closed invoices. We have
All
a
right.
third option. Yes.
Yeah, Andres, I want okay, when we were planning this session, that invoicing piece, that is huge, all right? And I want to make sure that, you sales agent, don't don't miss out on what he just shared as far as the invoicing goes. Andres, let's kind of double down on that a little bit. So, what I'm understanding with the ability to do the invoicing through here is that if I'm a sales agent and I'm dealing with a restaurant and that restaurant does catering, rather than go out and sign up for yet another virtual terminal or anything else, what I'm understanding is DejaPayPro is giving me the ability to kind of have like those virtual terminal type capabilities with the ability to send invoicing for like my catering business. Is that correct?
That is 100% accurate. You will ring up the items, and instead of having the order open or remaining open, you will send the invoice to the merchant, and then the invoice will keep on being open until the merchant pays for it. So yes, that will be a perfect scenario for the pay by invoice option.
All right. And sales agent, I love you. And there's a reason why I brought that up. Think about some of the conversations that we have had previously where you have said to me, I'm working with a business and they need a point of sale system. But Scott, we also have to kind of dive into a little bit of a virtual terminal and everything else. We are solving so many problems with this one offering called DejaPayPro. So keep that in your back pocket. That is definitely a good tool for your toolbox. Andres, we got a question that came up into the chat. Does the invoice piece work well with retail and does it work with Android?
The retail piece will work on Android and will work on retail. Yes, both.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, audience, I'm going to throw it back out to you again because I want to be respectful of your time and I want to make sure that we get all the questions addressed. Like I said, we're covering a lot of content, but I can assure you this is going to change the game for a lot of you with a lot of those merchants out there that could benefit from this. Any questions? Come off mute. We do have some more content that we do want to share with you on the screen, but let's get your questions out there. What have you got? Come off mute, please.
No
You show
pressure.
you have loyalty. Do we have to, on the loyalty, do we still use like factor 4 with it?
You can use Factor 4 with it, or you can use any of our certified partners with it. So the Value Tech and Factor 4 are the most common, but we are right now finishing integration with Enroll and Pay and with 360 Extra. So those two should be coming up mid-year.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, one thing that I'm always asked is how do you do surcharging? And surcharging is as simple as going into the payment section and decide if you're going to do traditional surcharging, which would be adding a fee or a discount to a particular tender. Dual pricing will mean that you will have two prices. You will have a card price and a cash price. And then through cash discount, we'll assume that every single item is taking the credit card price. So it's going to increment that item's price per that percentage or rate that you add. And then it's going to give a discount on the checkout screen under the cash tender. And you will be able to distinguish by BIN if it's a credit card or a debit card. So you will have that dynamic surcharging based on the description of the card or the BIN itself. Okay. A lot of merchants also are hopping from one county to another. So they have multiple taxes that can be applied or reapplied at any time. And it's as simple as going back to de novo and just applying the tax that you want for that particular day or that particular time. So you can work on different tax forms But in Puerto Rico, we have three different taxes. One is the local tax, one is the government tax, and then there's an adjusted discount or tax that it's only for qualified restaurants, and we can toggle between those three.
Can
Okay.
you add customer information in here? For next, customer information?
When you go to
Yeah.
your consumers, you're gonna be able to add the name, of date of birth, that a phone number, add an email, or add the address. So the answer would be yes.
Perfect.
And you have the capability of using that. And let me go back here. And you have the capability of using that consumer also as a personal account. So we have many schools that we have DejaPay installed in the cafeteria. So what the parents do is they log in their son's information, and they can actually buy their employee ID or education ID. They can actually charge it to their account, and then, as you can see here, then the parent has to go on a weekly basis, or you can send an invoice to their parents at a particular period, and they can pay for that personal account. But you're going to be able to see every single receipt that accumulated to that account, so you can see all the details of the receipts. And this is a demo account, so sometimes it happens, so apologize for that.
And
Okay,
Andres, while we're talking about taxes, can you pre-assign different taxes to different sales items?
Yes, if you see here, it says apply for all items, disable for all items, or when you are going into a particular, and let me go back here, and even into a particular category, you can decide if you're going to have that complete category as tax exempt or not. So you can go item by item, or you can go item by category, or by order type. So you can go, and there are multiple ways of mixing and matching. You can also work with HSA programs, EBT programs, and the same logic will work with them. You can assign a category, retail, and you do not want tobacco to be on the EBT. So you take out tobacco and you list only the items that you want processed on EBT. Same with HSA. You have different products because you're handling retail, and only certain amount of products can be processed through HSA. So you have the capability, and no item that's not under that program will be able to be charged under the program.
Nice.
Okay.
And I saw you had a note that there was a weight scale indicated.
We have a weight scale conversion. We don't have a weight scale integration, which means that once I activate the weighting scale conversion, which is over here, it's going to prompt me for the unit of measurement. So we have small marinas that use it to pay for their diesel. So I say that the diesel price for that day is X amount. And now you're just going to enter whatever they purchase, and it's going to do the conversion for you. So we don't have integration, we do have conversion.
So you could enter a pound number of pound weights and fractions, and it would do the math.
Yes, you just say my let me go back here, and I go to here, and the items that are marked as 0, that means that they have some kind of conversion. So when I hit it, it's going to tell me, okay, this is an open price. So this one will prompt me for open price. But it's the same thing when you have the conversion. You just enter the price per the amount in pounds, and it will do the conversion for you.
Perfect.
All right, Andres, you got both a compliment and you got a question from the same sales agent. So let me jump in here. When you were
Yes.
showing everything as far as surcharging, things along those lines, the response was, wow, this is awesome. It's easy and it's compliant. So look at that. You got the compliment. Now here comes the question. Will your software accept EBT? Does it require a PIN number for those EBT transactions?
It will depend on the bar sheet that you bring us. So we can configure it as the program requires it. So we do have EBTs that don't require the PIN, and we do have EBT setup that require the PIN.
Okay, excellent. And one thing I want to just kind of rewind a little bit here, and this was something else that I got really excited about when we first started planning this session, where we're talking about those retail medical environments where we can go in, we can buy wheelchairs, walkers, canes, whatever the case may be, have the ability to set it up so where we can do HSA and FSA. Now, this is where I want to make sure that we have that clear line so our agents don't, feel misinformed. What about medical offices? While we could do simple transactions in medical offices, it's not going to be on the same level of like doing integrations with medical software or anything along those lines. Let's make sure that we get that defined clearly. What would you say, Andres?
Yes, for medical offices, I would go more to our virtual capability in IPOSpace there, because you can do an API with any of your accounting software or your medical software there, and you can have the card present, so you can add an additional terminal so that the transaction isn't completely on the cloud itself. So on medical equipment, I would say yes. On medical offices, I would say clearly no.
Yeah, excellent. All right. And I'm doing that as a favor to you, the sales agent, because I love you and I want to make sure that we're setting the right expectations. So think about maybe some of those medical supply stores that you may have talked to recently. Now, when we set them up with DejaPayPro as the software on a myriad of different types of devices that are available, well, now you can tell them, guess what? Yeah, it does accept HSA. It does accept FSA. So this could be a really good option for those type of environments. Carol Steen, I see your hand has gone up, my friend. Come off mute. What have you got for us?
Well, I think the question that John asked was so valid because if you can go in and change on an actual sale, if you can make an actual item tax exempt, or if it is so good, because I've got a customer that I've just moved over on point of sale that was having to go back to the inventory, make that tax exempt for that one thing, and then have to change it when he got through with that. So this, being able to do this by inventory by thing is great. So my last question for Andres is, if I have a customer that's nonprofit, when I set that customer up, can I show them tax exempt? So I don't have to change it every time for them?
No, actually, tax exempt is a basic functionality. It's always on the top right of the corner. So right now I'm here and I just press on tax exempt and it goes directly into tax exempt. So I
That's
can,
awesome.
and it's privileged based. So me right now, I'm logged in as a manager, so I can do tax exempt whenever I want to. But a regular employee will require a PIN from a manager to do tax exempt. But it's as simple as just enabling the privilege for the tax exempt button to be enabled. So yes, very simple.
That's a big deal. That's great. Thanks.
One thing that I've been not go there, but we do many Clover conversions, and because we do many Clover conversions, we do have an import from Clover hyperlink. So basically, you go to Clover, you do an export to Excel, you come here, you simply say if it's Clover custom English or Spanish, choose the file, and you'll have it up and running in 5 minutes. So we do we try to schedule every install, but we could as easily do a complete setup within 24 hours if it was needed. So this is our offering to you as our partners. There is a book a meeting link that's below my signature. Scott can send it to you. You can book any meeting there. So you can do a client facing meeting. You just give a brief description, and you don't even have to be on the meeting. We'll let you know how the meeting went and how to proceed. We don't talk about pricing on the meetings. We don't talk about anything that's financial on the meetings. We just go straight to the customer needs. Then, once the client is ready to onboard, we'll send you a site survey, which is the one that we need to build the file. We do that at no charge at all. We also will be able to create TPNs for the Q line and for the QD line. If it's hypospace because of security reasons, then you will have to do it. Your ISO will need to do it. But after you create the TPN, you send it to us and we'll show you how to pair it. Then, third stage, after you have the equipment and we create the database and the customer is ready to be onboarded, we'll schedule an installation and do the installation remotely with them. So we'll do the installation. After we do the installation, we show them how to create an item and do and all the bells and whistles. If additional training is required, then we'll schedule additional training, and that is with us, so that we'll handle those three components. Now, if the merchant sends us a menu, then it's going to have a one-time fee there, depending on the level of effort of creating the menu. So we have many merchants that if they send us something, or if you send us something in an Excel format, I rarely charge anybody for it because we can manipulate it. But I get many build requests with pictures or on Word format, and then that will require a level of effort, and depending on the quantity of items, you get that one-time fee. And finally, you'll have our help desk, which is 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern time, completely free. So you can use it as your first level support, or you can use it as your second level support. Doesn't matter. You can be on the call with the merchant, or you can just tell the merchant to reach out to us and we'll troubleshoot for them.
All right, Andres, tell you what, we got a couple questions that popped up into the chat, and I also want to kind of reiterate everything that you're talking about as far as the value add that DejaPayPro will bring to any deal that our sales agents submit. So the question going back to the whole tax exempt, so can it be set up as tax exempt per item, or is it tax exempt per order? How can it be configured within the system?
It can be per item, it can be per order, or it can be per order type. So we have, for example, we have cities in where food to eat in-house is taxable, but orders to go are non-taxable. So you use the order type to tax exempt those items because they're actually picking them up, for example.
Excellent. All right, another question. Can the system handle split payments between EBT and cash or EBT and a card? There's a follow-up question to that. So let's address that first question. Can the system handle split payments, whether it's EBT and cash or EBT and somebody wants to use a credit or a debit card?
You can handle multiple tenders, and you can so you can do a split check by a specific amount, or you can do a split check by a specific item. What I cannot do is split a particular item into three. So I can split the whole order into three people, but I cannot split one appetizer in three people.
Okay. What about from a retail perspective where EBT transactions? So I'm the customer, I walk into the retail store, I'm going to pay for my food with, my EBT program, but you know what? I bought some items that don't fall into EBT, but I want to pay cash for those. Can we split those kind of transactions?
Yes, when you choose the item or you choose the items itself, and choose EBT, it's gonna highlight the items that are not EBT. So
There
you
we go.
can actually pay for EBT and then finish the transaction and pay for the remainder in any particular available tender.
Yeah, and that was a key point that you brought up right at the very beginning of the call when we were talking through this, that the system will identify this qualifies for EBT, this does not. So to answer that question, yes, we can split those transactions. The second piece of that question, can the system handle and track sales on an external payment device?
External track sale. What will be an external payment device?
Like an EBT device.
No, yes. So here is the back office. So here is where you're gonna see all your different reporting. We don't have an app itself, but you're gonna see that you're gonna break out all your different tenders, and you can choose your different the times that you wanna see it. So here you have your different summary by categories. Then you have here your different summary by items. Then you have your different summary by payment tools, summary by payment orders, and even by servers. So then if you want to go by a particular, so I'm going to go to my sales history and say that I'm going to see the whole month, and I'm only going to see EBT cash. So I can search by a particular field for the filter, and I can see the different EBT transactions that I have for that particular period.
They don't need another device. Everything will be included with this system. They don't need a EBT payment terminal or something, is what I
No,
think the
no, no,
question
no.
No, here's what I
It's only
mean.
configuration.
Here's what I mean. A lot of merchants, especially in the Chicago area, will use an external service for EBT because the break-even point is 1,500 transactions, and it becomes very advantageous for them to use Go EBT in this case. They're out of St. Louis. So a lot of merchants out there have that external payment device. Will the system track that payment and be able to pay for the other items while doing it at the same time instead of just the external payment device?
No, we don't have any integration. We can definitely look into it with our development team. If that you think that will be something that we can build a business case on it, we'll definitely look into it. But as of today, no.
Well, what I'm saying is, can it track that sale to the external payment device, just register it, and the rest is paid in cash, and the sale will be completed?
No, I got you. We're not integrated there. We can definitely look into it
Okay.
if that's a possibility.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Gary. All right. I see that we have a few minutes left. Agents, want to make sure we throw it back out there to you. This is all about you. This is about your success. This is about you feeling empowered when you're talking with your merchants to make sure that you've got all of your talk tracks correctly. So while we've got a couple of minutes left, now is a great time for you to come off mute, ask your questions while you've got our two experts on the call.
Hey Scott, Steven here. How are you?
Hey, Steven. Good. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. Hey, I have, well, the Deja Vu PayPro work with an existing uh, customer using a Deja Vu terminal. I found out that one of my restaurants is, that whole the DoorDash, and DoorDash is we're losing the income from that payment. Is there a way to bypass that? Would Deja Vu PayPros work with that?
As I mentioned, once it goes to Uber Eats Grubhub, the payment portion is managed by them. They're the only ones that are processing. The only way
Okay.
to get that processing bit will be to use our online solution. So our own online solution will give you the capability of adding a cloud TPN on the gateway, and you get the processing. But yeah, that's
Thank you.
one
That's
of
exactly
the
what I need to know.
yeah.
Okay. All right, agents, throwing it back out to you again one more time while we have a minute or two left. What do you have for questions while we've got our experts on the call? Going once, going twice. Come on. All right, if you do think of any questions, just come right off mute. So, friends, just to do a quick recap on this, and like I said, I have been super excited about doing this session for quite some time now. The fact that you, as a sales agent, can go back and talk to some of those prospects that you met with previously that said, I don't want to do a big investment. We understand that. If you go into our hardware pricing sheet, you take a look at those Deja Vu devices, it's not really a big investment versus like a traditional full-blown point of sale system. You could actually assist that merchant by setting them up with Deja Vu devices, which in my opinion are pretty inexpensive and actually quite a deal for any merchant out there. Those merchants that have said to you, I don't want to go out and buy all brand new equipment. I want to keep my cash drawer. I want to keep my printers. Well, guess what? Now we have another solution where we can take care of that. iPads, you bet. Android devices, you bet. Provided that they have Google Play and provided that they have the App Store, this could be a great fit for them. So before we break, what other questions do we have while we have our two guest panelists on the call?
Okay.
Steve, come off mute, my friend. What do you got? I thought I saw a hand go up. My apologies.
So I thought they were talking to me on that conference call. Because I have it on mute. All right, so go to Snap Benefit and then apply.
All right. I think we might have somebody that came off mute by accident here. There we go. Thank you very much. All right. Agents going once, going twice. What questions do you have before we break?
All right. Good session.
All right. I would say that was a great session. So to you, the sales agent, we love seeing you every single Tuesday. Don't forget, next week on Tuesday, May 5th, we're doing a coffee with closers with our CEO, Justin Volrath. Looking forward to seeing you on that call. But before we break, I loved today's session. I loved planning with these two gentlemen right over here. We had a great time with our planning, and we got super excited about the information that we presented to you today. Let's give some love to Andres and to Larry. Larry from Deja Vu side of the house and Andres from the DejaPayPro side of the house. Gentlemen, we couldn't have done this without you. Thank you so much for doing this session with us today, my man. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. And if y'all need demos and things like that, Andres has a book a meeting. If for some reason he's busy, give him a call. He'll try to work you in at some point. But they have a full schedule, but that's a good thing.
Yeah, and just to make sure that we're all on the same page, friends, if there is interest in a demo, your course of action is to go to sales@paycompass.com. They have the link to the calendar, and they can try to assist to help to get that booked on your behalf. Once again, that email address with feeling, sales@paycompass.com. Just reach out to the team. They'll do their very best to get that demo booked for you. As always, we love seeing you on Tuesdays. Look forward to seeing you guys all again next week on Tuesday. And don't forget, tomorrow is the day that I am sending out all the invitations for the month of May. As always, if you don't see an invitation on your calendar, reach out, sales@paycompass.com. We're going to make sure we get you hooked up. And until we meet again, friends, domo arigato. Thank you very much for your time. And I look forward to seeing you next week on May 5th at 1 o'clock Eastern. Take care, everybody. Thank you.